everyone. You're listening to Psychology Outside the Box. My name is Dr. Flower. I have a PhD in psychology, so I'm not a wannabe or a knockoff. I've been teaching college and university courses for 20 years. Psychology is a vast field that connects to many things in your life. If you have a curious mind, you're definitely in the right place. I will open your mind to new ideas and new ways of thinking. So sit back and enjoy the ride. Today's topic is about temper tantrums. It's really true that I had better self-control as a 5-year-old than I do now as an adult. My wife asked me, with ever-fading hope as we are getting older, whether I will ever grow up. It's not really about birthdays or chronological age, but my carefree attitude about life. I am goofy and silly at home, but also everywhere else, wherever I go. This makes me happy and often amuses others, so it's a win-win situation. No harm is being done, and so there is no reason for me to stop. I accept that I'm getting older, but my intention is to stay immature my whole life. I cannot control aging, only how I react to it. I refuse to surrender. I've used temper tantrums several times, but not when I was young. After the kids got older, my wife decided it would be a good idea if we did the grocery shopping together. That way we could each do half the items on the list and finish more quickly. It was a reasonable idea, but I hate lists. Some items I don't know where they are, and so it becomes a frustrating game of hide and seek. On the other hand, my wife likes to tour slowly up and down every aisle. She doesn't want to miss anything. After we tried shopping together a few times, I planned my escape. One day, my wife and I were waiting in the checkout line at the grocery store. And of course, that is where they put snacks and candy bars. I was bored and so very hungry. Low blood sugar makes me do crazy things. It would have been very easy for me to pick out a chocolate bar or two and just add them to the rest of the groceries. Oh yes, that would have been so very easy, but absolutely no fun at all. Instead, I decided to whine and cry for a chocolate bar, just like a little kid. I am already very childish, so imitating a kid was no challenge at all.
I can't wait for my supper. I'm so hungry. My stomach hurts. It feels like I might even die. I really want a chocolate bar. Can I have one, please? Please, please, can I have one? Can I have a chocolate bar? I really, really want one. I promise to be a very good boy for the rest of the day and maybe even tomorrow.
I don't care at all that people around us are looking at me, and I'm pretty sure that some of the young children nearby were admiring my technique and wondering if it would work or not. But as I expected, my wife was highly embarrassed by my silly behavior. At first, she would try to ignore me, usually telling the cashier person that,
I don't know this doofus, he's not with me.
But this only amplified my tantrum, and eventually she gave in and gave me the chocolate bar. In fact, she forcibly shoved it in my mouth, wrapper and all. It took only a few weeks of tantrums before my wife decided that maybe it would be better if she did the grocery shopping on her own. My PhD had finally paid off. I will likely be hearing from my wife's lawyer very soon. Why do kids have temper tantrums? Well, temper tantrums range from whining and crying to screaming, kicking, hitting, and breath holding. They're equally common in boys and girls. Some kids may have tantrums often and others have them only rarely. To some degree, tantrums are a normal part of child development. They're how young children show that they're upset or frustrated. Tantrums are especially common during the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th years of life when language skills are not yet fully developed. Because toddlers can't always say what they want or feel or need, a frustrating experience may cause a tantrum. As language skills improve over time, tantrums tend to decrease, but not always. Sometimes tantrums happen because the child is just very tired or hungry. Sometimes they cry because they are too tired to eat, but too hungry to sleep. But the great majority of tantrums result from one simple thing: not getting what they want. Toddlers want independence and control over their environment, more than they can actually handle. This can lead to power struggles as the child thinks, "I can do what I want," or "I want it, give it to me." When kids discover that they can't do it and can't have everything they want, they may have a tantrum. Sometimes you can see a pattern in the child's meltdowns. Maybe they happen at homework time or bedtime, or when they are asked to stop playing. Going from something they enjoy to something that's less pleasant may be difficult for them. This may require self-discipline that they don't yet have. And if expressing their feelings and frustration by crying, yelling, or kicking the floor serves to get what he wants, it's a behavior that may be repeated. It's always best to prevent tantrums from happening in the first place whenever possible. Get in the habit of catching your child being good instead of waiting for something bad to happen before giving attention. Reward your little one with praise and recognition for positive behavior. In all cases, be sure to tell the child exactly what they did right. Just like adults, all children at every age want to have some things in life under their control and influence. Use every chance you can think of to let your child decide stuff. Try to give toddlers some control over little things. Offer minor choices such as, which book shall we read before sleep? Do you want orange juice or apple juice? Would you like to wear your red shirt or your blue shirt? Do you want to put away your blocks or your stuffed animals? Or do you want to brush your teeth before or after taking a bath? This way you aren't asking, do you want to brush your teeth right now? Which inevitably will be answered, no. Do not offer a choice if one does not truly exist. If you ask your child to do something difficult, provide some help. Is your toddler screaming and crying because they can't put on their shoes? Provide just enough support so the child can succeed at that task. Give advance warning and avoid surprises, especially when making a change from something pleasant to something less enjoyable. If you're about to leave the park, or if it will be bedtime soon, give them 5 or 10 minutes advance notice. Tell them you can ride your scooter 2 more times around the park, and then we have to go home. Another strategy is to distract your child. Take advantage of your little one's short attention span by offering something else in place of what they can't have. Start a new activity to replace the frustrating or forbidden one, or simply change the environment. Take your toddler outside or inside, or move to a different room. Avoid saying no to everything. Consider the request carefully when your child wants something. Is it outrageous? Maybe it isn't. Choose your battles carefully. Try not to make shopping trips when the child is hungry or tired. Know your child's limits. If you know your toddler is tired, maybe it's not the best time to go grocery shopping or to try to squeeze in just one more errand. But sometimes it's impossible to prevent a tantrum because kids' brains work so much differently than ours. 3-year-old says,
Daddy, look at my shirt.
Dad says, ooh, is that My Little Pony? 3-year-old says,
No, it's My Little Pony.
Then throws a 7-minute tantrum. Wife says to Dad,
Why would you say that to her?
There are endless silly reasons that can still produce very serious tantrums. Maybe the daffodils are gone and they won't come back. Maybe she couldn't get rid of her shadow. Maybe he wants to reattach the fingernails you just clipped. Maybe she hates her eyelashes. Maybe he told you to go away and then threw a second tantrum because you went away. Maybe you told him to stop biting the cat. Maybe you put the vacuum away before she could kiss it goodbye. Maybe you won't let him wear dirty underwear as a hat. Maybe you won't let her get inside the dishwasher. And so on. What should I do during a tantrum? The best way to respond to a tantrum is to stay calm. Shouting at or hitting your child will only make the situation worse. If you respond with loud, angry outbursts, your child might imitate your behavior. I was going shopping a few weeks ago and was passing a mother trying to get her 3-year-old toddler out of the vehicle. Mom was yelling, "Get out of the car right now!" The child refused to move and instead yelled back just as loudly, "No, I don't want to go." The child's screaming and yelling were exactly the same as what the mother herself was doing. Young children may not always do what you ask, but they will very often imitate what you do or what you say. Keep your cool when responding to a tantrum. Don't complicate the problem by yelling or screaming of your own. Staying calm when your child is having a tantrum may seem like an impossible task. When emotions are running high, it can be so easy to get swept up in the storm. Sometimes parents try to fight fire with fire. My child is having a meltdown, so I will do the same. So mom or dad may throw a hissy fit, get mad, yell, scream, jump up and down, cry, say things like, "I really hate you." Of course, this won't help at all. Instead of fighting the fire, you're just adding more fuel to the flames and making the situation even worse. Your job is helping your child to learn to be calm. So you need to be calm too and model or show the behavior that you want your child to learn. Calm voices lead to calmer kids. Another thing you don't want to do is to try to reason with a child who is emotionally upset. Because your child is so emotional, the ability to think rationally is furthest from her mind. You want to encourage and explain proper behavior when the child is not blowing up. But trying to reason with your child during the heat of a tantrum, especially when it happens to be playing out in a public space, simply doesn't work. If a tantrum is happening to get attention from parents, one of the best ways to reduce this behavior is to ignore it. How do you ignore a screaming child? Well, avert your eyes, pretend you can't hear the screaming, and walk away if you have to. But make sure you don't provide your child with any type of attention, positive or negative. This will be difficult for you, but several child behaviors designed to get your attention should be ignored. Whining, crying, yelling, begging, arguing, or complaining. That means when the behavior starts, do nothing at all. No yelling, no conversation, no lecturing, no punishment. Look the other way. Pretend you don't hear them and act as though their behavior doesn't bother you at all. If you can do this, you may just get an Academy Award for acting like you don't really care. Very difficult, but certainly doable with some practice. You're sending a message that says your attempts to get my attention through misbehavior aren't going to work. After they calm down, provide attention right away. Go over, give them a hug and say, "Great job sitting there quietly." If you consistently ignore these behaviors, they will eventually stop. But be warned that before they stop, you may actually see the problem get worse. So don't panic. When a child is not getting the response they want, they may scream louder, try to get in your face, or whine even more. Don't forget, you must give your child plenty of positive attention when they are behaving properly. Then ignoring misbehavior will be more effective. But this takes time, so be patient. Don't expect that this will work within a day or two, or perhaps even a week. It might take longer. When she no longer has an audience, isn't getting attention for it, and not getting the reward that she is seeking out of it, it will stop. If a tantrum happens after your child has refused something, stay calm and move on to another activity with your child. If a tantrum happens after your child is told to do something she does not want to do, it's best to ignore the tantrum, but be sure that you follow through on having your child complete the task after she is calm. If a tantrum at home gets worse, remove your child from the situation and use a timeout. Seat your child in a boring place, such as in a chair in the living room or on the floor in the hallway. How long should a timeout be? A good rule of thumb is 1 minute per year of age with a maximum of 10 minutes. After age 6, most children can be told that they are in timeout until you can behave again, allowing them to choose how long they stay there. Use timeouts for more serious problems, not for every minor offense. Give a warning. You don't want to swoop in and give a timeout without a heads up. If the behavior continues for another 5 seconds, then start the timeout. Leave your toddler in his timeout space for the designated time. Set a kitchen timer or the alarm on your phone. Timeout means putting a child in a boring place for a few minutes to correct a misbehavior. It's most effective in 2 to 5-year-old children. Choosing a good timeout spot is important. Timeout is a form of punishment. The goal is to remove all attention and fun things so your child does not like going to timeout, and she cannot interact with her parents or anyone else. It is supposed to be away from toys, people, windows, TVs, games, books, and anything else your child likes. Your child's bedroom may not be a good place for timeout. The bedroom often has too many things in it that your child likes. If you need to use the bedroom, it is necessary to be sure that fun things are removed, and this may be difficult to do. For this reason, often the end of a hallway is the best place for timeout. No matter how tempting it may seem, never use a closet for timeout or the basement. A timeout chair is the most common place that parents use. You can use other items like a small blanket or a mat to show your child where to sit on the floor for timeout. You can also take these with you in case you need to put your child in timeout away from home. Stay nearby so you can monitor what is happening during the timeout. Wait for your child to calm down. Stick with it. If your child begins to wander around before the timeout is over, return him or her to the timeout spot. Don't respond to anything your child says while he or she is in timeout. Rather than setting a specific time limit, have your child stay in timeout till he or she regains control. This is empowering. Kids can influence the outcome by their own actions and thus gain a sense of control that was lost during the tantrum. When your child has calmed down, briefly discuss the reason for the timeout and why the behavior was wrong. Then return to your usual activities. Sometimes even parents should take timeouts. When you get really angry, you need to just take yourself out of the situation. You can't solve a problem when you're upset. Your IQ drops about 30 points when you are angry. Is your kid hitting, kicking, biting, or throwing things during a meltdown? Make it clear that while their feelings are okay, hurting others is not. For example, it's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to hit. Or, your block tower fell over and you're mad. That's okay, but it's not okay to throw your blocks. Use timeout. Stop them immediately and remove them from the situation. Toddler hitting is a frustrating behavior, but don't take the old school approach of giving them a taste of their own medicine. A parent should never hit a child back in order to show them what it feels like. Your kid may learn that it is okay because a parent is doing it. Instead, get the message across that hitting isn't okay because it hurts. Using a timeout while shopping may be a little bit harder. Before you even go into the store, you lay down the rules. I understand you want things, but we are only buying food for the house. If you become angry or upset that we are not buying something special for you, we will leave all the food in the cart and go sit outside or in the car until you can be calm. And then, never mind the inconvenience, you have to follow through. Follow through calmly. Pick the child up and no yelling or spanking, just go. Maybe make a note that you stick on the cart in advance that says, "Dealing with a temper tantrum, back in a few minutes." Even if the child is screaming the whole way, leave the store and go back to your vehicle and strap the child into the car seat. You have to be willing to follow through, however many times it takes. When a child doesn't get the result they want, they will stop their screaming because it doesn't work anymore. If you reward tantrums with something your child wants, or you allow your child to get out of things by throwing a tantrum, the tantrums are likely to continue. You may think it is okay to give in to tantrums once in a while, but that is a big mistake. Even if the child is rewarded occasionally, it will prove that tantrums work sometimes, and so they will continue. It's like lottery tickets. We don't win very often, but the mere possibility of winning makes us want to keep trying again and again. Tantrums in a public place like a grocery store may be embarrassing to you. You may think it's a good idea to give your child the candy or chocolate bar she wants because you know the child will stop crying or screaming. You may think that you have won because your child is now quiet, but actually you have lost the battle. Or you have won the battle but may lose the war. It can be tempting to just give in and let your toddler have their way, especially if all you want is peace and quiet. Don't cave in. If you do, your child will quickly learn that if they scream or cry in the future, they may get what they want. It may be embarrassing in a grocery store, but do not surrender to your child. You will regret it later. If you look calm, like you've got it under control, even though you're not doing anything to stop the fit, other people will think that you are doing just fine. What should I do after a tantrum? Comfort your child when they've calmed down. A tantrum is distressing for everyone. Praise your child for regaining control. Now, when your child is calm, is the time for a hug and reassurance that your child is loved, no matter what. Tantrums pass, and they will soon be a distant memory for your toddler. Make sure you don't hold on to it either. Dwelling on the outbursts may cause the tantrum to start all over again. If you still want to discuss it with your 3 or 4-year-old, wait a few hours before you do. You can also discuss how they can stop tantrums from happening again. Try to understand their feelings and frustrations. Comfort your child. "I'm sorry, sweetie, it's no fun to feel like that." Teach your child to label emotions and to express themselves with words. They often don't have the vocabulary they need and so can't easily describe their frustration, jealousy, anger, or disappointment. And so they use tantrums to express their feelings. Give them the words they need to express themselves in other ways. Above all, set a good example. Children look up to their parents, watching their behavior. Model healthy strategies when you're upset or frustrated. Your child will begin to copy your behavior. If you raise your voice or yell, which happens to the best of us, apologize and ask for a do-over. "I didn't mean to yell at you, I'm sorry." Model the behavior you want to see from your toddler, including making mistakes and taking responsibility for them. No one is perfect. Always offer praise when your child follows through and does something you ask of them. After all, it's the positive behavior you want them to remember and to repeat. Children like recognition for good behavior. Offer extra attention when your child behaves well. This includes high fives, hugs and kisses, thumbs up, clapping and cheering, video game time, choice time, stickers, tasty food or candy such as M&Ms, playing a game or reading a book together. Or, "I'm proud of you. I like what you're doing." Be as specific as possible. Instead of "you were so good," say "you did a great job using your quiet inside voice in the store." These statements help your child know exactly what behaviors are expected and acceptable. All good things must come to an end, including this podcast. But in the words of the Terminator, I'll be back. And I hope you will too. Okay, folks, it's all over for today. We're finished. We reached the end. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I will miss you so very much.